time of year when the pressure's on and the silverware is within sight.
Yeah, he's buried it! What a start for Chelsea! And still he goes on, but he's done it! Only Rudiger! Great here for Mason Mount!
Hello and welcome pitchside at the magnificent Bernabeu Stadium. It's the relative calm before the storm here at the moment. Things, trust me, will change in the coming hour. This place will be full to the rafters and we are expecting quite the atmosphere. More on that in a moment, but first up, let's get to the all-important team news. This is the starting 11 that Frank Lampard has named to take on Real Madrid here in Spain tonight. It's Kerr in goal. It's a change of formation as well. We're expecting it to be a 3-5-2, the back three. Wesley Fofana, Thiago Silva and Kalidou Koulibaly. We'll have Reece James and Ben Chilwell either side of a midfield three of Enzo, Kanté and Kovacic, with a front two of Raheem Sterling and Joao Felix. Among the subs, the returning Mason Mount and Cesar Azpilicueta. For Real Madrid, Thibaut Courtois starts in goal, but former players Toni Rüdiger and Eden Hazard are part of the subs bench. Incidentally, 7 players, including Kepa, Thiago Silva, Reece James, Koulibaly, Enzo, Conor Gallagher, Mikhailo Mudryk are all on a yellow card. A booking tonight will see them miss the second leg back at the Bridge next week. We cannot worry about that at the moment, though. All focus here tonight. Of course, the players, they were outside on the pitch just a few minutes ago surveying the playing surface, which I have to say looks pretty impressive. We are hoping for a very special European night. Fingers crossed.
Just made it to the Bernabeu. Team news is in, and I have to say I really like this back 3/5 that Frank Lampard has selected. And how massive is it to have Thiago Silva back in the starting lineup for Chelsea? I think that is going to surely boost our chances and how we play, because he's just always one of the best players on the pitch. And N'Golo Kanté in that midfield as well, partnered with Enzo and Kovacic. I really am liking this starting 11. I'm excited to see how we play, and the bench also looks extremely strong. So if it's still 0-0, Frank Lampard can look to his bench, and there's so many wonderful players that he can bring on to hopefully affect the game. So feeling very positive about the match. Let's go Chelsea.
Hi, John. But is it somewhere that you look to players to really sort of stand up and be inspired by it? Can it be an inspirational place for the players in the squad tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think so. It's an arena. I was just speaking actually about I only played it once in my career, England-Spain, and we lost 2-0, and I don't think I got a kick. Xavi and Iniesta were in their heyday, but I absolutely remember the size of the stadium. So for our players, some young players that we've got, we know in the squad, but also we have some players that have achieved a lot. Champions League winners, World Cup winners, and these things. So I don't think it's something completely new to them, but of course this is a stadium that, and the quarterfinals an occasion, and that we have to play the occasion because levels go up at this point in the competition. But we have to come in with a belief that we can perform under that pressure.
Okay, we'll go to Matt Dunn. Matt Dunn.
Frank, the players have got to do that, and you're old in the tooth, 44-year-old now. But do you still dream when you come to places like this?
Oh yeah, this is amazing. I've been fortunate enough to manage in the Champions League in 2 seasons, and as a player it was always the special competition, and so to be here as a manager, when particularly when a week ago today even I didn't know I'd be here, is a huge honour for me, of course, and was a big part of my thought process of taking on the challenge here. This is an amazing challenge for me personally, as well as obviously for us as a team and a club. So yeah, I'm very looking forward to the occasion myself.
There's some obvious parallels with Roberto Di Matteo and what happened 10 years ago. What can you draw from that? What's your memories of that? And have you spoken to him at all?
No, I haven't spoken to Robbie. I exchanged some messages with a few people. Obviously, a lot of people Chelsea-related, Gus Hiddink and ex-managers and people in the game, but I haven't spoken to Robbie. I think there are parallels in probably a simple sense. We're ex-players, but I think the year Robbie was here, he was an assistant, but had a big awareness of the squad and then got the job earlier in the year than I did. And I was part of that process, obviously, and did an amazing job. I remember big parts of why he achieved what he achieved. So I think my situation is different in practice. I do have an awareness of the squad, but not a close hand to all of them. But yeah, I think I have to be careful making that parallel, because also we have very tough games in front of us starting tomorrow. So there's a lot of work to be done, but we're very committed to trying to if we can, create our own little bit of history. But the steps in front of us are very difficult, of course.
Okay. Go Nizar Kinsella.
Hi Frank, this squad seems to perform better in the Champions League than the Premier League. Is there something about this competition or this group of players even that sort of plays better in Europe than they do in the league?
I'm not sure. I understand the question, and if you isolate this year as well, because I've viewed it from the outside, and I think there have been challenges this year, and the Premier League is also one of the greatest challenges in world football, because it's tough week in, week out, and those challenges have obviously taken us to a place where we don't want to be as Chelsea Football Club. So I think in the Champions League sometimes it offers you a bit of escapism from that, a different speed of game, knockout football. Those things can all contribute to getting a different success in the same season. I think when you get to this stage in the competition, no, I think you're playing teams of the level of Real Madrid, teams of the level of who will be waiting for either team in the semi-final. So I think now the comparisons are sort of pretty worthless. It's all about what's in front of you.
Gary?
Frank, hello, back here.
Hi.
I've not seen you, so congratulations.
Thanks.
A couple of questions in one. Reports that Todd Boehly took advice from James Corden about appointing you. And when it comes to winning this competition, are Real Madrid in a league of their own?
Wow. Yeah, I saw the headline of James Corden, and I'm absolutely not aware whether it's true or not. But it's obviously a great headline to put together with casually from the outside. So I think when I look at the success of Todd Boehly, the owners of Chelsea Football Club, I think you have to respect that success and respect the idea that they will probably make decisions based more than a conversation with one person. So that's as much as I'm going to give your two questions.
Gentleman there.
Hola, Frank.
Hello, Frank, and the review for Spanish television in Spanish. After what happened here last year, the comeback from Real Madrid, can you tell us, Mr. from Chelsea, to your players before the match starts tomorrow? What are you going to tell your players after what happened last year?
Every new year in football brings a new story, and so I think it's the year before that, Chelsea came here and was successful in the Champions League in the knockout stage. Last year, Real Madrid produced I wouldn't say a comeback, but it was an incredible game that changed in the last moments of when Chelsea looked to be strong, and then Real Madrid. One thing I will say, having watched Real Madrid and having a relationship with Carlo Ancelotti, who's been incredible in his time here, that the players have to understand is that this is a special arena and a special football club, and anything can happen, and some things you can't control. So we have to control what we can control with what we have now, understand the quality of the player in the Real Madrid team, lots of quality throughout that team. But my focus will not be on last year, it will be on what we can do now as a team.
Gentleman at the front.
Hello, I'm Marcelo Doval from Dosis Futbolera.
Hi.
What kind of game do you have to play tomorrow in order to get alive to the second game in England?
I think we have to understand the strengths of the Real Madrid team, which means in terms of their qualities in possession and their individual talent, we have to be very, very disciplined with our game off the ball against Real Madrid. Understand the threats. There's some very clear threats individually in their team, ways that Real Madrid like to score and regularly score, and how they want to control a game. So we have to be defensively good against that. But I think we also have to show our own strengths in our game, and the players will be aware of how we want to approach the game. We have to have belief. We have to follow the idea, because in a high-level game, the biggest thing can sometimes be the mentality of following through with what the idea is under pressure. So we have to be, at this level, you have to be spot on with your game to take it back to Stamford Bridge next week in front of our home supporters.
Hi, Frank. Sorry, I was going to say, it's very unusual for a coach to come in and the first big European game is a quarter-final of the Champions League. But in a strange way, does it feel different for you? Because you got Chelsea into the knockout stages last time, but it was sort of taken away from you. So it must feel like you've almost earned the right to be here anyway.
I don't link them. I know my part played in the last success, and it ended when I left the club as far as I was concerned, but my part was probably more than anything qualifying for the Champions League the year before in a tough season with a young squad. And that was, you know, we went through the group stage, but very clearly my time ended, and full credit to Thomas and the team from then on. So I don't link them. I'm just very proud to come back, you know, and manage the team at this time to try and help, because we also have the league games till the end of the season to try and work with the younger players, develop a little bit, but also importantly try and get results. So I'm just very happy, but I don't link it to the past. But I can take. I know I've managed in this competition before. I know I've managed against big teams in this competition before. So I'm not daunted at all by the fact. In fact, I'm more excited than anything. I get the opportunity.
Tom?
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
You mentioned about the aura of playing in the Bernabeu, and also earlier about the fact there are some young players in your team and squad, but also players who have made a load of achievements. But do you have the leaders in the squad as well? Because it is a young team, isn't it? So do you have the leaders to deal with that environment, this environment, and get the team through it?
Well, I think you can only become a leader in action. You know, it's no point in being called a leader until you show why and how you do it on the pitch. And I understand your question in the point that we have a lot of players who have a lot of titles, so we can't call ourselves, you know, completely young, because if I go through the squad, I can see a lot. But also in terms of natural leaders, I think modern leaders have changed in the game, in the dressing room. I don't think we can ever try and look 10 or 15 years back and try and replicate what a squad was or what leaders were. But for sure, where we have, you know, brought in some younger players over the course of this season, we have to give them a chance to develop into being the leaders that we want them to be. So, you know, Enzo's doing the media through there, and you'll speak to him. But in him, I see a leader. But he's 21, 22 years of age. I think it's very difficult for us to sort of really equate him to being that, so he'll have to find his way. Games like tomorrow are a great chance to perform and show that personality that makes you a proper leader.
Hi, Frank. Just on the team news, are Thiago, Mason and N'Golo ready to be involved tomorrow? And then also, in terms of the belief and character that you need to show, this team's character has been questioned at times this season when there have been setbacks. It seems they haven't responded that well. How do you feel that you can affect that?
Well, they're all fit. The ones you mentioned are all in the squad. The three players you mentioned are good, and they're here. In terms of character, I think it's usual. It's normal in a season where a club like us falls below what the levels we want, that character gets questioned. It's one of the first things probably to get questioned at times in defeat, more often than not. And the only thing the players can do is prove it on pitch, where people can view it and where they can see it. There's a lot of work that we do behind the scenes on the training pitch, around the dressing room, talking with the players. And you can only, my job is to convey to them the need to train at a level, to have a mentality at a certain level, individually and as a group. And then the rest, I have to show it. It's no good, you can talk as much as you want, but the players have to show that sort of stuff on the pitch. So I'm absolutely not questioning the fact that I have a lot of character in that group, because I've seen the dressing room and I understand football, and there is character. Nobody wants to not win a football match, for instance. But sometimes players can take a hit on confidence, and something that can be a lack of confidence can look like a lack of character, things like that. So that's my job to quite quickly, because I've only been here a short time, to find those areas, find out which players need help, or the group, how it needs help, try and give it the help it needs, and then it's up to them.
James.
Hi, Frank. Just one about N'Golo. He's been one of the world's best midfielders for so many years, but there's never a guarantee a 32-year-old coming off a long injury layoff can get back to that level. Do you think he can get there, and just how important will he be for you tomorrow?
I think N'Golo's a special player. And I understand what you mean when you talk about consistency, and the problem, the difficulties N'Golo's had recently are injuries. But in terms of coming back and playing at a really high level, I've witnessed him do it. He did it in the Super Cup final for me against Liverpool a few years ago. He had to pass a fitness test, hadn't trained for a long time, and he was best player on the pitch for 120 minutes, pretty much. So I think he has the capacity to do that because he's a special player. So hopefully he can do that for us because he's that high level of player. And when we miss him as a club, we miss him because of how good he is. So it's a positive for this, that he's back for sure.
Okay, we'll do two more. Gentleman in the middle and then finish with Simon Johnson.
Aquí, Frank.
Diego Plaza for El Chiringuito. You were talking about the individual quality of the squad from Real Madrid. I don't know what player of Real Madrid are you most worried about, and if you have a special plan to stop one of them, Vinicius, Benzema, Rodrigo, do you have a special plan to stop any of them, and which player is the one that you are most worried about?
It's a difficult question to ask me to name one player, because once I start naming 1, 2, 3, you will ask about why not 4, 5, because it's a team of a lot of good individuals. I've got a huge amount of respect for the team. I think my biggest respect for the Real Madrid team and the success over the years is when I look at the players that have real longevity, that are serial winners. Benzema, Modric, Cruz, these players, because to appreciate what it takes at this level to win so regularly, keep motivation, affect the team around you and be the leaders of the group, which I think quite clearly they are, I think is what makes them the special players that they are. So I have huge admiration for them, and they all in a different way have these incredible qualities. And of course Vinicius Junior as well, as a young player, is some incredible qualities. So the way we have to try and work against it is be very clear to the players about those threats. And in certain areas of the pitch where we know the threats are repetitive, Vinicius Junior 1v1, these sort of things, Benzema's movement in the top area of the pitch, the players have to be aware of it and we have to deal with it. But they're very high level players. Thank you.
Final question, Simon Johnson.
Hey Frank.
Hi Simon.
Just sort of wondering, can you play on the fact that Real Madrid are heavy favourites here, that they're the ones that are under more pressure, or are Chelsea the ones under pressure because this is the last chance you can win anything? And secondly, just touching on Tony Rudiger, obviously there's a player that played under you, just sort of like what you make of him as a player and how things were with you and him when you were together.
Yeah, I think to the first half of the question, I think there's pressure on both teams because of the size of both clubs. And I think when you get to this stage, whatever the reason is, there'll be pressure. Are Real Madrid favourites? Yes. And I understand why, because of the difficulties of our season and those things. I don't think that's a problem. I think those things are fine. There's no better carrot in football than trying to prove people wrong or be an underdog and have a good result. I think it's one of the best things. I've been part of that, and on both sides actually. So I think that's a nice challenge for us. So I'm not worried about that. And in terms of the pressure, I'm not worried about that. Football at this level is pressure, and if you can't handle the pressure, then you're not a big club or you're not a big player or participant in it. In the point of Tony Rudiger, I think Tony Rudiger's done fantastically well. When I last saw him as Everton manager against Chelsea, I wished him well. The Madrid move was happening at that time. And my relationship with him was fine. A lot of people obviously like to speculate on relationships outside a football club. And as a manager of Chelsea, which I was and which I am again now, you have 25, 27 players. You have decisions to make every week. Antonio Rudiger played a lot for me. But obviously our story ended and the story continued. Part of a successful Champions League winning team and was a big part in it, and now he had his move, so good luck to him. Good luck to any professional who works as hard as Tony had in his career. I know his early part of his career to be coming and playing for Chelsea and Real Madrid. But he deserves it.
Okay, we'll end it there. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Well, we are 15 minutes away from kick-off at the Santiago Bernabeu. It is Real Madrid versus Chelsea in the first leg of this Champions League quarter-final. Pat Nevin's alongside me for full match commentary. We've had some time to digest the team news now, Pat. The big thing, obviously, is the change of shape. Is that a reaction to how Chelsea played against Wolves, or the opponent that they faced tonight, or a bit of both?
I think it's something else apart from that. I think he was going to do that all along. I think, you know, he didn't want to give anything away to Real Madrid because it's the biggest game of the season, the biggest tie of the season, and try and keep as many players fit, ready, healthy, ready for it. Kanté, you know, Thiago Silva, obviously phenomenal, but he's back in, and we don't lose many goals when we've got that shape in place. And what we don't want to do tonight is lose many goals, if any. And if we can do that, we will still be in this tie by the second leg, and that is what it's all about. Above everything else, we want to be in this tie by the time this comes back to Stamford Bridge, and that's why the team's the way it is.
It's obviously a calculated risk to play Thiago Silva from the start. Last appearance 26th of Feb. We know N'Golo Kanté's been managing his minutes, as they say these days, since he's come back in. I guess there's a responsibility therefore on Koulibaly, Fofana, Kovacic and Fernandes to kind of protect those players to an extent.
Well, protect Thiago Silva to some degree, but he's got two centre-backs for him, and he knows how to limit his efforts. You know, he just reads the play, so he can go through a game and he won't break sweat sometimes, even against top teams, because he knows how to read the game. So, you know, if his hinges are okay, then fine, we'll stick with it, we'll be okay. N'Golo is different. N'Golo, you don't want to protect him, you want N'Golo to be able to do what N'Golo does. So he will give us everything he's got, and I love the fact, and this is the most important thing about it, the fact that you can go and say to them, look, you might have an injury, but give us everything you've got for how long as you've got, then we'll deal with it after that. If you were bringing them on as sub, that could be problematic. I know exactly what Frank Lampard's doing there, but it won't be just those two. There's 11 players out there and a bunch of subs, and they'll all be needed.
Yeah, and some of them have got to watch their step. Silva, Kepa, James Koulibaly, Enzo Gallagher and Mudryk, the latter two who are substitutes, all are booking away from a ban. We are getting closer to kick-off now. We'll bring you the full match live. For now, though, let's hear from Ben Chilwell, who's had something to celebrate this week.
Chile just got on the plane on the way to Madrid. Must be excited.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, massive game, so yeah, we're all very excited. First time at the Bernabeu, so excited for that as well, and yeah, hopefully we can get the win.
Iconic venue, isn't it? One of football's iconic stadiums.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of them stadiums you dream of playing in. You know, we know it's going to be a hostile environment, but you know, we're ready for the game, and hopefully we can, like I said, get the win.
Hello and welcome inside the magnificent Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, one of the most iconic venues in European, or in fact world, football. If you hadn't already guessed, here we are inside the away dressing room. This is where the Chelsea players will be preparing ahead of kick-off. What I'm going to do, as we have a little bit of exclusive behind-the-scenes access, is take you for a little guided tour. Make sure I've got my all-important Matchday accreditation on, otherwise we'll not be going anywhere without that. So this is the walk that the players will take prior to kick-off. Let's go through these doors here. There is the Real Madrid dressing room. Won't go in there, that'll get me in a bit of trouble. Okay, let's go down these stairs, shall we? How about this? Very much a wall of fame, listing all the trophies that this incredible football club have won over the years. And this, trust me, is worth the wait. If we walk out here, this is the walk that the players will make. And this is the view that will greet them. How about this? It's incredible to think that this place is still under construction. Has been since 2019. The plan is for it to be finished by the end of this season. But look at that. So the capacity was around 81,000 at the moment. Because that end isn't open as yet, we can expect about 63,000 for the game here in the Champions League. The Chelsea fans, well, they will be up on high, up in that corner there. This is the pre-match media positions. That's where I'll be positioned ahead of kickoff, hopefully bringing you the latest team news. It really is an incredible venue. And have a look at the pitch while here as well. I mean, Frank Lampard, under no illusions that he knows this is going to be a stern test. But stranger things have happened, and we have pulled off some incredible results in Spain in the Champions League in previous years. I mean, you just need to ask the man himself, don't you?
We're here in La Plata Mayor, where soon Chelsea will face Real Madrid in the Bernabeu. And there are a ton of Chelsea fans already here. The chanting's already going, and we're going to see if we can grab a couple to get their thoughts ahead of the match.
I wasn't confident yesterday, but I've woken up this morning, got a slightly better feeling than I had. I feel like if we can score, there might be a draw on the cards, but that's about it. It just depends where these goals are going to come from, to be honest. But I think if we can score first, we might be in with a chance, but otherwise we'll take it as it comes.
Yeah, I'm confident. I reckon a 2-0 Chelsea, and as long as Reece James keeps Vinicius Junior away, and we pocket Benzema, then I reckon we'll do all right.
Optimistic a little bit, because I know what we can do in Europe when things are against us, especially in the league, but it's Real Madrid. They're a tough side, especially out in the Champions League. It's their competition. I'm always optimistic, but I suppose it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? So, I don't know. I'd like a 2-1 win, or just something to go back to Stamford Bridge, something to play for. That's all I can ask for at the moment, I suppose.
Well, we're optimistic always in Europe, especially when we're the underdogs. I think we perform better that way. Obviously last year we put on such a good performance, so we're obviously capable of doing it. And I think we've had a difficult season, but I think with Frank back, maybe a bit of optimism amongst the fans, a bit of excitement amongst everyone, and I think hopefully that just reflects into the players, and hopefully everyone just gives 100%. If everyone gives 100%, you never know, and there's always hope. And I feel confident actually. I think we've had good weather. Everyone's enjoying themselves. I think it's good omen.
We have just found a familiar face. Liv, how's it going? We were here exactly 1 year ago today as well, which I can't believe. But how are you feeling today, and how do you think this match is going to compare to last year?
Do you know, it feels so weird that it was a year ago today. The weather was different, everything was different. That's one of my favourite ever Chelsea games at the Bernabeu last year. To go 3-0 up, no one really does that, and we won the game. I sat here a year ago saying, always optimistic, even though we were 3-1 down from the first leg, whereas now, it's a different manager. I had no idea that Frank Lampard was going to be the man in charge, but I'm as optimistic as ever, and I really, really do believe we can get a result at the Bernabeu. I think it's going to be a very different game, but the Real Madrid team we're playing is very similar to the one we played last year. Our team is very different, and I feel like we're so close to everything clicking. I'm hoping it can be tonight.
The times that we played them in European competition, I think over 90 minutes we've only lost just the once. So that was at Stamford Bridge last season. So even coming to the Bernabeu last year, we managed to pick up a win, or we lost a tie. But I think our history against Real Madrid in Europe, I think it's something that they won't be comfortable with, and I think it should give the players confidence. And I hope Frank gives them that message before the game.
You know, it's been quite a tough period for the boys, and I think someone like Frank, with the experience that he's got, just injects something special into the team. And I think, and I hope that, I'm sure he has sat the boys down and, installed some faith into their own ability. I think we've got to acknowledge psychology in the sport at the moment. And I think, he would have sat the boys down and just said, boys, you've got to back yourself and believe in yourself tonight. And, this game is 100% winnable. And if everyone turns up and, with the support of Frank, and all the boys will look up to him, roll on and let's go give it to him.
I feel like there's nothing really to lose. I think the atmosphere is better amongst the fans for sure. I think we've been divided for quite a while, and now I think there's a bit of a sense of excitement. There's nothing to lose, just a free shot, a game at the Bernabeu, a game at the Bridge, and eight league games left. Just give it the best we can.
So there you have it. Fans are feeling confident ahead of the match today. Massive game at the Bernabeu. Come on, Chelsea.
It's Chelsea's favourite time of year when the pressure's on and the silverware is within sight.
here for Mason Mount. Hello to you wherever you may be, and thank you for joining us for full match commentary of Real Madrid versus Chelsea in the Champions League quarter-final first leg. Another visit to the Santiago Bernabeu for the Blues, a year to the day since they came so close to causing one of the biggest upsets in this competition's history. I'm Matt Davis-Adams, Pat Nevins alongside me to hopefully enjoy this game. What's a good result tonight, Pat?
A good result would be a draw. Not a bad result would be a single goal defeat. It really would. We have to be honest about that, you know. And you think about this competition so far this season, we've had 2 defeats, but they've been single goal defeats, and we've got through. So you do not worry about it if you lose. And considering this season in the league, we're averaging just over, minimally over 1 goal a game that we're losing. So it's one area we're all right. So that's where we want to be. We want to visit. Well, obviously we'd love a win, but at this point in time, be in it. Put some pressure on them for the second leg.
Let's bring you the team news, just in case you missed it. Chelsea going back to a back three, Frank Lampard tonight. 3-5-2, we suspect. Kerr in goal, then Wesley Fofana, Thiago Silva, who returns, and Kalidou Koulibaly. Silva's the captain. Then it's James, Kovacic, Fernandes, Kanté and Chilwell, with Sterling and Joao Felix as the nominal strikers. Is that how you see it, Pat? 3-5-2?
It's the most obvious one. You can play with the two quite wide. You know, Sterling and Felix could maybe go wide and try and drag people a little bit wider. But that 5-man midfield, as it were, Chilwell on the left-hand side, James on the right. Look, every Chelsea fan worth their salt knows that we look our best when the wing backs are on, and both of them are here. Hopefully both of them are fully fit. But if you've got a strong midfield, when we know Enzo's a strong player, we know he's a confident player, we know if you can get N'Golo Kanté, I was going to say it's like getting a new player. It's not. It's like getting 2 new players on the park at the same time, almost playing with 12, because that's what N'Golo can give you. So on top of that, Kova's going to work as well. So they're not going to get it their own way in the midfield with that lineup that we've put out there. Love the look of that side. Love that. We might struggle to get a lot of the ball up front, but when they get their opportunities, Felix and Sterling, you've got to make the best of them. But I think it comes back to the fact that Thiago Silva walking out there is brilliant, and we're watching him going over to Ancelotti, and there's 2 absolute legends right there and right then.
Yeah, Thiago Silva, of course, a winner with Chelsea. Carlo Ancelotti, the first coach to win 4 European Cups. He's also the only to take a team to 5 finals. Real Madrid, the past masters of this competition. Chelsea couldn't have a more difficult opponent tonight in terms of their rich Champions League history. They are in the quarter-finals of the Champions League / European Cup for the 38th time. That's more than any other side. It is their 27th Champions League campaign. They won the European Cup / Champions League for the 14th time last year. They hammered Liverpool in the previous round, but this is Chelsea at the business end of a competition, and this is when the Blues' focus tends to sharpen. It's been a miserable season. We can't play that down thus far, but it could still be a memorable and maybe even a magical one. It's all about taking it back to Stamford Bridge and making sure there's plenty on the game, right, Pat? And I guess that's going to affect how Chelsea approach the match. You mentioned the fact that the front players might not see much of the ball. It's about the defensive effort more than anything else tonight, mate.
And we've done it so often, and we've done it this season, and you've got the main man back there to help you doing it. There's so many great meetings at this game, isn't it? You know, Frank going over to Carlo, you've given them a big hug, and that's a real mutual, you know, liking and loving, and through pure football. But for us this time, that's all we care about. Get carried away with this music in the background if you like, but you got a blanket if you're a player, because you know what the job is, and the job is to come out of it knowing that there's game on at the end of it.
Steely looks of determination on the faces of the Chelsea players as the Champions League anthem plays. There is narrative all over this game. It is incredible. Pat's just mentioned Carlo Ancelotti and Frank Lampard. We're just looking at Thibaut Courtois lining up for Real Madrid. They've got Rudiger and Eden Hazard on the bench as well. Carlo Ancelotti's gone back to his strongest team. He rested a few in the weekend here and got beaten 3-2. But the team that he's picked tonight is the best available to him. Thibaut Courtois is the goalkeeper. Dani Carvajal, Eder Militao, David Alaba and Eduardo Camavinga make up the back four. Then it's that really impressive midfield three of Modric, Valverde and Kroos, with Rodrigo, Benzema and Vinicius Junior, scorer of the goal that won the final last year, in attack.
Yeah, they're a very, very strong side, it has to be said. I mean, you'd love to look for a weakness and say, well, Modric isn't young, Benzema isn't young, but it doesn't seem to matter, does it? The way that they play, they are both phenomenal players, and both of them will have to be kept close eyes. Both players in their own ways, do not give them a centimetre of space. That's the clue.
Substitutes for Chelsea tonight: Mendy the goalkeeper, Mudryk, Pulisic, Ziyech, Cucurella, Zakaria, Havertz, Chalobah, Loftus-Cheek, Mount, Gallagher and Azpilicueta. Madrid's replacements are Vallejo, Nacho, Lunin, Hazard, Diaz, Tchouaméni, Vázquez, Ceballos, Odriozola, Rudiger, Luis Lopez and Asensio. The referee, Francois Le Tessier, comes to us from France. He was in charge of Chelsea's group stage home win against Dinamo Zagreb on match day 6. And now the two captains, Karim Benzema, the current Ballon d'Or holder, and Thiago Silva, one of the best defenders of his or any generation, exchanging pennants in the middle of the pitch. It's quite the coincidence, Pat, isn't it, that it's a year to the day since these two met in this competition last season. I know it's always around this time that the quarterfinals are, but for it to be a year to the day, well, that match won't have played any part in the preparation for this, will it? Other than to say, hey, look, you came here and scored 3 goals last year.
Yeah,